All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again on Featured Employer Friday. Today we have Hands-On Atlanta. We've got Kirsten Thomas and Chelsea Moore joining us. My name is Nicole Kang. I'm the Employer Relations Manager in Career Development, and we are just getting to know Hands-On Atlanta and their AmeriCorps programs. So Kirsten and Chelsea, if you can go ahead and introduce yourselves, that would be great.
Yes. So I will kick us off really quick. So my name is Chelsea Moore, and I currently serve as the Education Programs Coordinator. Just a little bit of back information about my career path. I was actually a part of the AmeriCorps program in 2019 to 2020. But prior to that, I've been really big in service. So I did the Peace Corps in Peru for a few years. So now it's just sort of full circle, getting to support other people while they serve.
I am Kirsten Thomas, and I serve as the Associate Director of our AmeriCorps program. Similar to Chelsea, I also got my start at Hands-On Atlanta a long time ago. Then went off to teach middle school, and now I'm back here managing the program. So as you can tell, service is near and dear to my heart, and any way that we can lean into serving the communities that surround or make up the city of Atlanta, we're always excited to be able to do so.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear more. We have Erin Sherrill who's joining us. She is the Director of Career Development. Erin, do you want to quickly say hi?
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to hear more about Hands-On Atlanta and share all the cool stuff that you're working on with our students. Thanks.
So if you guys can just dive right into it and tell us about this program with AmeriCorps, what it entails, that would be great.
Okay, so I'll go a little bit into the program and then I'll pass it over to Kirsten just to talk a little bit more about Hands-On Atlanta and our mission. But AmeriCorps might be something you've never heard about before. A lot of people call it the Domestic Peace Corps, where you're placed at a project. They last between 3 to 12 months. And so ours particularly is working to fight the educational divide and inequality. So we mainly focus in on Title I elementary schools in the Metro Atlanta area. So our program focuses on two main roles. So one, tutoring. I think we all know with this past year, there has been a big gap when it comes to the learning loss that's happened because of the pandemic and virtual learning. So we have people both in elementary and middle school working with ELA and math just to really help push up those scores and help our kids. And then the second role that we have, which I think is also very impactful when you think of what's happened over the past year, is what we call social emotional learning coaches. So really helping kids combat different social emotional and emotional regulation throughout the building. So a lot of this is like attendance as well. So the kids can't learn unless they're in the building. So just being that extra touch in and getting kids really involved in our program. So a few details. Usually our program is 10 months, so the entire school year. We are still working to backfill in some of our positions. We're super excited that we actually expanded our program this year just because the need was that big. So we doubled our program and we are working with 14 different partners. And just normal day is a normal class day. So I do know as college students, this might be a little hard and hectic. I know everyone's like back on campus, but this is a good way to be meaningful and impactful in the community. And I'll go ahead and soft toss it to Kirsten where she can talk about not only the mission of Hands-On Atlanta, but other ways that could really like get you involved if AmeriCorps is something that you don't have the time for.
Chelsea, just want to be able to bridge the gap because I think when people hear Hands-On Atlanta, they only think about being able to volunteer. They're like, oh, I didn't know that you guys have an AmeriCorps program that you focus on education. So I just want to be able to close some of those gaps that people may have when they hear Hands-On Atlanta, and now we're talking about AmeriCorps. So the overall mission for Hands-On Atlanta is to mobilize the Atlanta community to tackle our city's most pressing needs. The reason we're focusing on education in Atlanta is for us, that is one of the most pressing needs right now. So that's the reason we have our AmeriCorps program, is to try to tap into those areas of Atlanta that actually needs just an additional support to be able to help our kiddos and Black and Brown communities to be able to reach their academic norms set for them over the course of the year. Our vision is definitely to make Atlanta the most equitable and engaged community in the world. And so that's where the volunteerism piece comes into play. So you can still come to Atlanta, Hands on Atlanta, to be able to volunteer in many areas. So if you're passionate about veterans, you're passionate about food insecurity, or if you're passionate about education, there's just many ways for you to be able to tap into what we do at HOA. Our AmeriCorps program is just the way that we tend to focus more on the educational need of Atlanta through our AmeriCorps program. As Chelsea said, we are still recruiting for individuals that want to get involved in communities that make up the city of Atlanta, whether you're coming on as a tutor that loves ELA and or math, or if you want to tap into more of the social emotional component, just know that we're always looking for candidates to be able to fill the spots that we have remaining. And we do this program. I've been here for quite some time. So having served 3 years before and now coming back to manage the program, we come full circle. So just know that we're always eager and ready to be able to tap into the cities in any way that we can.
Great, thank you so much. Something that I want to know is, do you have to be a specific major to apply? And do you have any, particular preferences for these two roles?
Oh, no, we've seen people from all different backgrounds come and be a part of our program. So you could be in public health. I think actually a lot of people don't actually want to go into teaching that do our program. I think a lot of it is just like being able to give back and be a part of the community. So that is one thing I do want to like stamp and say it in bold if I could. Like, you do not have to be an educator or want to be an educator to be a part of this program. I think one thing across the board that we do look for is experience with children. And even in my screenings, when I talk to people, I think in their mind, they think in a school setting. But for me, like, do you have a younger sibling? Because that definitely teaches you the patience of working with children. And so definitely like broadening what that really means.
And if I could add, definitely not major specific, but if you are someone who want to go into the field of education, this is one of the greatest ways for you to be able to gain that classroom experience that you need in order for you to become an amazing teacher. So ironically, that's the reason I came to the program, was I was able to gain the skills that I needed to be able to go off to teach middle school. So to Chelsea's point, not major specific, but this is definitely a way for you to be able to hone in some of those professionalism skills that you need in an educational setting, or if you just need to add experience to your resume, this is still a great way for you to be able to do that.
Absolutely. This is definitely going to be a great resume builder. And I know that this is a 10-month commitment. So what are you looking for in terms of time commitment, and is there compensation?
Yes. So how it usually works is over the 10 months, our members are required to serve 1,700 hours, which looks roughly like 40 to 45 hours a week. So the schedule does look a little bit different depending on your site. So as I mentioned before, we have both elementary and middle school, and then we also have a few charter schools, which are like a combined K-8 space. So the time does shift depending on where our members are placed. And then the benefits that come with AmeriCorps, one big one is professional development. We have monthly trainings on professional development. We also have a mentorship program where we connect our members to people out there doing good work in Atlanta in multiple fields. There is also a living stipend. So unlike a normal job where it's salaried, AmeriCorps is very similar to Peace Corps in the sense that you get a living stipend of $1,700 a month. It's split into two payments, so one on the 15th and one the end of the month, as well as health, dental, and vision insurance at no additional cost. So our office covers that. And I think the last thing that's really like made my ears pop up when I was looking at the opportunity, and especially for students now, is at the end of a successful service term, there is a Siegel Education Award of a little over $6,000. So I think it's like $6,345. Sounds right in my head. That you can use to either say you want to go to grad school or just take a certificate class. You can use it towards that. Me personally, I used it to pay back on some of my student loans because we know what that's like nowadays. So that really helped me out in that sense.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Nicole.
No, go ahead, Erin.
Quick clarifying question on this. So, and depending on your answer, I might have a comment that I would want to share with students. So do you typically look for students who just graduated for this, or do you still have students that are like in school or finishing up?
Yeah, so our program has shifted a little bit. So before this year, we had both part-time and full-time positions, where part-time, that was really easy for people that were currently in college. Now, since it's full-time, we understand it's a bigger time commitment. We do normally look at people that maybe just finished college, maybe taking a gap year before going to get their master's, or just still trying to figure out what career path they want to go into. I do know that we've had some students that are in school, but most of them are like at a virtual capacity or have like a more flexible schedule, which I do understand a lot of your students right now that are in undergrad are in person. So I do see that it could be something like, hey, I'm hearing about this now. This sounds really cool. Let me keep this on my radar for when you graduate, because we do usually start recruiting around February, March.
That's great. And I was thinking about a trend that we've been seeing a little bit more in career development is that students will take their last semester to do a big internship. And so they might get internship credit and do something full-time or 3/4 time during their last semester and get a bunch of credits for it. And Oglethorpe students are able to get a lifetime max of 12 credits while they're at Oglethorpe. And 12 credits is hours-wise about a full-time job. So if you're going to do it all in one semester, that's something that Ogles could think about. Cool.
And Chelsea, I know that you were a part of this program before you became a full-time education coordinator. What was it like being out there as one of the, I'm sorry, I'm just like blanking really quickly, but like, were you the social emotional coach or were you a tutor?
Yes, so my role looked a little bit different. So the majority of our members are in a school building. So the role that I held was actually a discovery program coordinator. So another cool thing, if AmeriCorps isn't the right fit for you right now when it comes to capacity, we do have another program called Discovery, which is our Saturday enrichment program. So it works in our same partner schools. So a lot of the same students. So a big thing you'll hear us talk about is our wraparound services. So making sure that we can like hit multiple programs for the same students. So I actually helped plan and the vaccine like operations coordination of our enrichment program, which had like STEAM activities. So I did get to go in the schools a lot because I was working and like dropping off materials. I wasn't in a classroom per se, but I know my thing going in was like, I want to be in the nonprofit world. I just served in the Peace Corps. Like, I thought that would be good. And I would be like, oh, an office job would be right for me after this. And I came back and I was like, I still don't think I'm ready for that, especially when it comes to doing something that's meaningful and impactful. So this was definitely that nice bridge for me of like getting to know the nonprofit world, as well as like, what am I good at? What are some good hard skills that I'm good at that I think ultimately got me the job to now continue on with Hands on Atlanta and be a part of the education programs team.
That's wonderful to hear. Well, and I'm curious to know, I mean, is there, I know that this is available on Handshake. Is there anything that can help students as they are applying for this position?
So I mentioned the one before, like if just make sure on your resume, if you have experience with children, to put that there. I think a lot of the things that we look for, it's not like a key experience, but once we meet people, most people will get a screening with me at least. It's just being able to show like flexibility, adaptability, like you can really show up because in a school building, you're pulled in a lot of different ways. And so just like being able to be like, okay, yeah, you need me to step in and help you with this, like just being able to do that. And especially with the like flexibility part, I'm sure my members last year got so tired of me saying like, have grace. I think we all need to have a little grace with ourselves too, especially with the pandemic and how like things are changing day to day. So just really being able to like adapt and just be like, okay, yep, that changed. Like I'm good with that. But I think most of that does show. One thing we do also look for is if you've had past volunteer experience. We know a living stipend is like not a lot to get by on. So like we know most people aren't here for that. So knowing people's why and what really drives them into doing this work. So usually seeing like, oh, this person's volunteered doing this and this sort of connects with like a why they would be interested in serving in an AmeriCorps program. I'm not sure, Kirsten, would you add any other things that we look for?
You hit the most important ones. I think the last one that you said, I would just like to elaborate, just to be able to show your commitment to service, right? Because this is a service-oriented program. Hands on Atlanta, we are a service hub for the city of Atlanta. So anything that you can show that can highlight your commitment to service and to giving back to others, I definitely will want you to make sure that that's a highlight on your resume for us to be able to take notice.
Well, thank you both. I think this is such a wonderful opportunity. I mean, I think the work that Hands on Atlanta does really does serve the broader city. And education is obviously a huge component of that. So thank you for the work that you do. And I hope our students will benefit from this conversation and that, they'll, even if they're not ready for it, keep this on your radar for future recruitment opportunities. And so do you have any last words with us? Any parting thoughts, or I don't know, you could say something inspirational.
So I'm already looking at Kirsten because she's the inspirational person.
Ooh.
So I think one, just thank you again for the opportunity. Super excited to potentially hear from some of your students. And like I said, if the time commitment isn't right for you now, we do have a ton of other ways to be involved, whether it's being a lead volunteer at Discovery, the Saturday enrichment program I was talking about, to just volunteering with one of our partners. I think it's a really good way to just be involved in the community. And yeah, I'm going to soft toss to Kirsten because I know she has some wise words to say.
One thing that I will add is that, again, we definitely want someone who's committed to service, someone who definitely wants to give back to do a greater good in the Atlanta community. But you will see if you ever visit our office that we do have MLK plastered on our wall, being from the city of Atlanta, of course. But the one thing that always sticks out to me is the fact that you don't have to have a college degree to serve, right? I know that we're talking to students from Oglethorpe, but just to know that your subject and verb don't always have to agree. You just need a heart of grace and a soul generated by love in order for you to be able to reach back, to give back to others. So if you are that person, or it may not be you, it could be someone that you know that you actually wants to lean in to do that work, please, please, please go to our website and look at our AmeriCorps program. It's a really cool program, a springboard for my career. And I can tell you the 1,700-hour commitment is no easy feat by any imagination of the word, but I will tell you that it supersedes any monetary value that you will ever have because you gain those lifelong relationships. It's a way for you to network with other individuals. And it's also a way for you to open other doors to your career goals. So just keep us in mind. And always go to our website to be able to volunteer. We have volunteer opportunities 365 days a year.
Thank you both again so much. We are connected on Instagram. So if you are on Instagram, you can see Hands on Atlanta does have an account. So you can also give them a follow that way. This recording will be made available on YouTube. Thank you both again for this opportunity to chat with us. Oglethorpe University is full of students who are just really emotionally intelligent and have just really great hearts. So I know that this will really be a great opportunity for so many of our students. So yeah, thank you all again and have a great weekend.